Okay, so hello everyone. Thanks for joining this webinar. So today we have also Nick that is moderating the webinar. So if you have questions, put in the chat, and Nick will let me know. If it's related to the topic, I can answer immediately. If it's something generic, perhaps we can keep it to the end. And we also have a special guest today, Kevin from Untied, the co-founder and CEO of Untied, the tax platform, our new integration. Kevin, if you can hear me, if you can say hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks everyone very much for inviting us to join you, and very excited by the work that we've done together, and a pleasure as well to meet all the Lendlord community.
Thanks, Kevin. Yes, it's very exciting to launch this integration after hard work that we did together in the last several months. So today the webinar will be focused on how you can organize and eventually file your tax return to the HMRC from a Lendlord account using a untied technology. So this is the agenda for today. A few words before. So as I believe a lot of you know, making tax digital is something that should happen in the 2024, if I'm not mistaken. And basically it means that you need to store and track your cash flow in a digital way and submit it on a quarterly basis using a digital software. Our integration with Untied will allow Lendlord users to do it. And the first step is what we are going to review today, is the integration with Untied to create an Untied account that will allow you to basically import the data from Lendlord, and then using Untied from your Lendlord account, and really show how you do it. You can tax your file return currently on an annual basis. So for instance, I think that we still have like the deadline, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's end of February or end of March for the
Yeah, so
yeah, go ahead.
So the filing deadline is end of February. The payment deadline to avoid a penalty is the end of March. And these are both effective extensions as a result of relief as a result of COVID.
Yes, so if you haven't, you still have time to do it from your Lendlord account. But anyway, it's available and it will remain available for the next financial year. And it's a great opportunity to start and track and basically make sure that all of your income expenses are managing correctly on your Lendlord platform. So the agenda for today, I will, so we start with the Lendlord side. I will demo how you can basically set up your cash flow tracking and cash flow information, income and expenses on Lendlord. And after that, we'll touch how you can review a summary of the last financial tax year. And when you basically review this report, you need to make sure that everything is there. And if you're happy, you can start with the process to file your tax return automatically using the integration with Untied. And then Kevin will demo how you do it on Untied. It will be available from your Lendlord account. So basically we implemented a new page that hosts Untied user interface, so you can do it from your Lendlord account. So, and then in the end, we'll have like a session of question and answers. So feel free, and you can put all the questions in the chat. And if it's relevant, we will answer immediately. If it's less relevant, we will answer in the end. So let's start with the demo. Unless Kevin, you want to add any word for the beginning? And
no, I just think this is just a wonderful thing, actually, in terms of helping people just manage these filings. And making tax digital is going to be a really, really big change in how people report their taxes. And by getting in early, we're going to be really sort of pushing the user experience, and just to help all of the Lendlord community just to be able to do this as quickly, as easily as possible. And we can talk about that in the Q&A session a little bit as well, but this is very much the first step.
Yes. Thank you, Kevin. So let's start. So the first topic, how you can set up your cash flow tracking using Lendlord. I'll switch to the demo account. Okay, so the first step on Lendlord is the My Portfolio page to basically update and upload or enter all of your property and property details. We have many videos and webinars we did on how basically you can organize the data on the My Portfolio page. So we not touch it now. I will just do one property as an example. So it will be used on the profit and loss section in a sec. So I will just put the purchase date, the purchase price, current property value, the rental income. I will put some details about the mortgage, the original and the current one, rate, mortgage monthly cost. On My Portfolio, I just put the data that describe the property, all the attributes that are relevant to the property. I can put some cash flow information, but the tracking of the ongoing cash flow will be on the profit and loss page. So just for the example, I will put the landlord insurance, let's say, of a monthly premium of £12. I will put, let's say I have a secured loan, £100. I click done. So after I enter the property, I can, of course, go to the My Tenants and set up the tenant and tenancy, but it's not a subject of this webinar. Just one note, when you create the tenants and a tenancy, you will also create the payment schedule. And when you create the payment schedule on the cash flow, when you start to track income, expenses, and rents, you can also track the rent collection. And Nick will put a link on the chat in the end of the webinar for how basically you can do it. We did like a webinar on that a few weeks ago. So after I added the property, I click set up cash flow, track expenses, or I can go directly to the profit and loss page from the menu. And basically on Lendlord, you have three different options to set up your cash flow. One is to link your bank accounts, and this is part of our premium plan. And you can link unlimited bank accounts, and then the platform will retrieve for you the newest transactions from the last 24 hours. And you will just need to allocate them to the relevant properties, and if it's a rent, to the relevant tenant as well. And you can also define rules, so the platform will automatically track those expenses for you every time that they arrive to your account. The same is if you want just to link your Xero account. Currently, it's the only accounting software we support. So if you already manage your income and expenses on Xero and you link your bank account with Xero, you can also link your organization, the Xero and organization, to Lendlord, and we will retrieve all the reconciled transactions every day. You can also retrieve, of course, history when you link your bank accounts or Xero, just to track also history. And it's limited to 2 years. So you can link your bank account, retrieve 2 years transactions, arrange all of your transactions to the relevant properties. And starting this point, the platform will retrieve for you every day the transactions. The third option is, and this is a great way to set up the cash flow history, is to define recurring income and expenses. And we show how it works. If you click proceed, so we are now working on this property. The platform will take the data that I just entered from My Portfolio, And basically, I can now define the history. Of course, perhaps it's open mode for mistakes, but if you just want to get a clear picture of a high-level picture of your history, you can do it like this. The recommended way, of course, is to use real transactions by linking your bank account, or there is another option to import a spreadsheet with your income and expenses, the historical data. But in this case, I will just say, okay, so the rental income now is 2,310, but let's say that it was different in the beginning. So I can click add period and put rental monthly income here. And let's say it was 2,000 from January 2016 to January 2020, as for the example, and I will change this for February 2020. And I can do it for all the expenses. And if I have more expenses, I can click add period and add income or expense and track it for the history. Then I click apply. And I will go to this property. And I can see that the historical data was tracked. So this is an easy way to populate the historical data. But the best way to do it, if you want the most accurate data, is from the transactions page. And here you have the options either to import a spreadsheet. You have an example spreadsheet with all the historical income and expenses, and then map them to the relevant properties. Or, as I said, to link it to bank account, and this is part of our premium plan. And another option is to add the transactions manually and just type the details. If I want to track a mortgage payment, I can select the relevant property and select the category, if it's a mortgage interest, for instance, and then allocate it to the relevant property, and it will be on my profit and loss. So I will stop here because I want to go to the how you file and review your tax returns. We do have this webinar that Nick will put on the chat, so how you can manage your cash flow. So it describes in more details how you can allocate transactions and set up your profit and loss. I will now start with go to the next topic. So how you can review the summary of the last financial tax year. So here, in order to do that, you need to go to the reports section. It's available from this link or from the menu reports. And on the reports, basically, you have a set of different reports that can show you overview of your income and expenses. There is the general P&L, but I want to start first with the expenses breakdown. So the expenses breakdown will show you basically on what you spend your cash. Of course, you can use the filters. So first, to choose the period, you can see, so this month is the default, but if you want to see the entire quarter, the entire financial year, and last financial year, and of course, you can also play exactly with specifically with the dates. You can also manage it and filter it by property. So I can see a specific property, or I can see all of them. You can also filter by owner. So if I want to see just the expenses of the properties that James owned, I can see it as well. I can see just Kate, etc. And of course, you can also filter it by ownership. So if I want to see just the private properties or the company-owned properties, or if I have more than one company, I can see just specific company. So here is very important to review the categories and make sure that you set up the expenses to the right category. If you're not happy with our categories predefined, you can just use this drop down, click on this icon, the edit icon. You can change the name of the category, you can change the color, you can delete a category, and you can also add a category. So basically you can arrange your own list of categories or just tweak our predefined categories. And another place to do is for the income. So you can also, it's something new, by the way, for our old users. We just released it a few weeks ago. So now you can also categorize the income transactions as well. And again, here you can add more categories, edit or remove. One second. I made something wrong here. Okay. Now I will go to the profit and loss report, and let's select. So basically, this is the place to start the process to file your tax return. I will select the last financial year, so I can review the income per category. Then I can review the expenses also per category. If I click on the link, it will take me to the relevant report just with this filter with this category. I can see the summary and also some estimation, but it's just estimation of the platform. It's not 100% accurate of what is going to be my profit after tax. And from that point, basically, I can, if I think that everything looks good, I can start the process to file the tax return and use the integration with Untied. So a few words about this integration. So you need to click on this, then you get some instructions about the process. So some important things. So first, in order to file, you need to select an owner. So basically, perhaps Kevin will put a few more words about it. But basically, you report it for like an individual tax return. And then you will receive a pop-up to review what you are going to import to Untied. You need to log in to an account that will be created in the background. So the first time you need to sign up and create an Untied account. And from now then, from this point, you just need to log in every time. And then basically we'll go to the Untied section, but I have an account that is actually already ready, so I will show it there. So if I click file your tax return, the first question will be about the mortgage interest. So if I put the mortgage interest in a category, so make sure that all the mortgage interest is managed under a specific category, because we need this number for your tax return and to import it to Untied. So I keep it on the mortgage cost. All my mortgages are interest only. So it's there. I click proceed. Then I see again the period, the owner. So in this case, I want to report it to Dan. I can see each property with the total income, the mortgage interest, and the other expenses. I can review. If I think something is wrong, I can go back to the transactions page, profit and loss, and change the data or the category in the expenses breakdown report. Then I click proceed, and I will then get the Untied account. So this is the login process. I'll just put the key that I just received to my email, and then I will pass the demo to Kevin to demo how you basically file your tax return using your untied account within the Lendlord platform. So let me just put the key, the code. 1 second, please. Click login. And I now receive this page, Lendlord import. It takes Dan, one of the owners that is in this account, data. And you can see the summary of the total income and the expenses and the interest on the mortgages. And then I will now pass the demo to Kevin to show you how you can complete the process and basically file your tax return to the HMRC using untied integration. Kevin, I think you will demo it on not on the iframe from Lendlord, but basically it's the same. So be aware that
that's right. At the moment, it's saying that screen sharing has been disabled. So I know lots of people have got a very good imagination, but I think we can probably get the screen. Let me know when the screen sharing is working, and then I'll start sharing the screen.
Should be good now. So try now.
Okay, let's see if we can do this. Okay, so you should be able to see that in front of you there.
Yes, we can.
Okay, excellent. So one of the questions was, is this just for individuals or is this for companies as well? What we're seeing here is initially for individuals. If people like it and it works well for you, then we will look at what is necessary in order to extend this to companies as well. But what we have is all the information that Aviram showed you from within Lendlord that's been brought into Untied. There are a few bits of information that need to be added. My national insurance number, my unique taxpayer reference number also needs to be added. That's really the key that you use in order to file tax returns with HMRC. If you're not yet registered with HMRC and you need to, we can have that conversation and together we can help you register. If you also have a salary from employment, you indicate yes, and then we just indicate that we're ready to import and continue. And it brings this data into Untied. I now put the details of my employment. Oops. And I've earned some money from my employment. And I've had some tax deducted as well. So if all of that looks good, and that will come from my P60, which is given to you at around about April or May every year, I can then save that information. And it then takes me onto the next page. If I have other income, for instance, pensions or investments or capital gains or other things, then I can be adding that at this point. But really what we want to see is if we just have property income and employment, we're ready now just to be filing. Just tap on submit return. We have something called Express Submit, which allows you to file without even needing an HMRC login. You need to make sure you're in the right tax year. So we're going to set that for 2020 to 21, the right tax year. That all looks right based on the numbers that we've just brought in from Lendlord. And the only thing I can't do now is press the submit button because I've got a zoom control on exactly that point. So I'm going to just hide that. I'm now going to hit submit. So when I press submit, real data is going to HMRC. They're checking the calculation and processing the tax return. And then we have it. We've just submitted a tax return using your Lendlord data coming into Untied and being submitted to HMRC. We initially do it as a test because, of course, this is demo data. But in real life, you would then go on and you would hit submit live return, and it would send that as a real tax return across to HMRC. Aviram, that was short, but hopefully that is the whole point of it, that we do want it to be quick and easy for people.
Yes, and of course that now we'll open it for questions. So any questions on even edge cases about tax returns using the Untied platform, feel free to ask. And we already have some questions. I want to emphasize again that what Kevin showed you, that the user interface of Untied will be available from your Lendlord account. So you don't need to basically log into another system. We integrated both user interfaces. So now basically I think that we can see if we have some questions. So feel free all to put relevant questions.
We have got a question here, Aviram, from Steve. There's a couple of questions here, but I think some of them have been covered already. But Steve has asked, if you, as well as having an income from renting property, I'm also separately self-employed. Can Untied handle this too? I think it's Kevin.
Yes. In short, yes, Steve, Untied does handle that. So the way that you would do that is you would have an Untied account where you would effectively manage your self-employment income, including from 2024, the Making Tax digital filings, and your property income would then be brought in from Lendlord. So it works really nicely doing the two alongside each other. And the answer in very short terms is yes. And we want that to be a straightforward experience as well. So we're happy to do that.
Okay, lovely. There's been a couple of questions. Lucy's asked a couple of questions with reference to whether you can file for personal and or company. I think you've covered that one already. You can't do company at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. This is very much focused on personal tax returns. I know you have an integration with Xero. Xero is good for companies. And one of the things as well that we really think is important around individuals is you generally don't have a separate bank account for your business or your property. It often goes into your main account, and that's why doing your accounts really for the property in Lendlord and just sending that across works quite well.
Okay, thank you for that. There's a couple of other questions from Lucy, but I don't think they're pertinent now, on account that obviously we're not doing companies at the moment. There is another question here. This one's more for Aviram. Someone's just signed up. Can they retrospectively add expenses for last year?
Yes, of course. Yes. And let me share the screen again just to clarify it. So even if you just signed up now to Lendlord and you have an empty account, as I showed, like it's several ways to create your historical data on the profit and loss. And the best thing is to do it from the transactions. You can either import a file. You have an example file that you can download and see the template and the columns, like a file with your historical expenses and income, or you can link your bank account, and this is part of the premium plan. Also, the file tax return you need to say it's like part of the premium plan, so you need to subscribe to the premium plan, and then you can retrieve the historical data from your bank account, or if you use Xero, from your Xero organization. And you can use recurring income and expenses as I showed before. And there are other ways you can do it. So I will show like one way. So if I take, let's say 54 income in September, so let me do this, 2021, and click edit. And let's say that I want now to copy the rent guarantee insurance to other months. I will click copy expenses backwards. I'll select the rent guarantee insurance, and let's say it was since January 2021. September 1, click copy expense, and it will copy it to all the other months. So basically, it's like another way to play with the historical data in bulks. But again, I think the best way is to use real data. So either to import file with all of the transactions, or to link your bank account or zero. But the answer is yes, you can change the data. Even if you signed up today, you can organize 5 years of history on Lendlord.
Thanks, Aviram. Whilst I don't know if you actually covered this one. I think you might have done, but do you, Graham's asked, do you have to have signed up for Untied too, or are you naturally signed up via Lendlord?
Well, I will answer. No, like you will, Lendlord, you don't need to sign up directly with Untied. The first time you start the process, Lendlord will take you to a registration page of Untied. You will need to then create an account, and this will create a connection between Lendlord account, your account, and your account on Untied. So basically all the logins and also the initial sign up will be managed from your Lendlord account. So you don't need to basically handle two different softwares. And as I showed, this also will be available as an iframe. So basically, as you see, it's still like Lendlord. And when you file your tax return, you get the Untied user interface, so you can start the process. And as Kevin showed, you can, if you need to add your personal income, you can do it from here, or pension income, etc., before you file your tax return. So the property rental income and the property expenses will be imported directly from your Lendlord account. And then when you go to your Untied section on Lendlord, you can add other sources of income and expenses to file everything to the HMRC.
Okay. Just read this. I think this is for you, Kevin. Lendlord brings only the rental income over, but what happens if we've got other income? Do we put that in via Untied?
Yes, I mean, that's a really good question. And I've managed to discover how to get my camera on it. It's now enabled. So you can be adding other sources of income and other things which are tax related in Untied. So I can go through and sort of show you that screen and the different sort of things that are supported. There are different ways that you could be doing that. If it's fairly straightforward, then you can do that at the point of importing the data from Lendlord, and you can see sort of the different things here. Alternatively, if they're more complicated things, just go to the tax form section on the left-hand side. So if you are investing under EIS or SCIS, that's the sort of thing that would be supported, capital gains. And we've already talked about things like self-employment and pension. If something isn't included here, do reach out. And sometimes when people reach out, it's because we've actually included it and built it in a simple way as well. So the answer is, in short, yes, these other things are supported within Untied, and that will then get everything filed as appropriate to HMRC at the right time.
Perfect. Thanks, Kevin. Then whilst you're on, while I've got your attention, Kevin, please, the other question was, and you did cover this one earlier on, but just if you could reiterate it, please. When do we plan on potentially doing the returns for the property business limited company?
Yeah, I think there's probably a conversation between us and Aviram as well in terms of the timing for that. And we're happy to support what is needed. Our business focuses very much on individuals. But if we can use what we have in order to support you from a company point of view, then I'm sure Aviram, we can have quite a good conversation there as well, just to make that as streamlined as possible.
Okay, lovely. So we saw something we could roadmap at some point in the near future. Hopefully, that's basically it, isn't it? Really lovely.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, one of the hooks that Abraham made was the Making Tax Digital, which is the big change which is coming for individuals, not for companies unless they're VAT registered. And the company change is likely to be 2 or 3 years later. So we're looking really sort of towards the end of the decade. It feels like a long time off, but I recognize as well that there are shorter term company filings as well that we can probably work with Avaram in order to help you with that.
Oh yes, of course. It's I forgot that it's not the quarterly thing, is it, for the limited companies? Right, I'm with you now. Okay, yeah, that's good. Thank you for covering that one. Let's have a look. Okay, someone else, Steve's asked, if you got 2 jointly owned rental properties, would you need 2 landlord accounts and 2 untied accounts? We don't need 2 landlord accounts, I know that, but untied?
Wait, no, wait, 1 second. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, forgive me, I got that wrong. I'll reverse. Over to you, Aviram.
We'll explain. So on Lendlord, you will need to create, 1 second. You need to invite your partner. I will show you. Because basically untied is for, as Kevin said, like the current integration is focused on individuals. On Lendlord, you can manage more than 1 owner in 1 account. So this is available from this menu, portfolio owners. You can see that in this account, I have James, Kate, and Dan. And you can open your Lendlord account and invite your partners. And when you do it, again, from this menu, in team members, click invite team members, put the email address, send invite, and then they sign up to Lendlord. When they sign up to Lendlord from the link that they will receive, they basically will be with you on the same Lendlord account, but different users. So in order to file each of one of them to file the tax return to Untied, you just need to do it from your user, and it will create a different Untied account for Kate, different account, Untied account for Dan. So you just need to make sure that when you log into Lendlord, log in with your user. So basically, it's something that we have on Lendlord. You can have joint accounts. The data is the same. We don't have permission, so basically both partners will see everything. But of course, you can filter the data using the filters of the owners, for instance. And when you start to file your tax return, it will ask you, let's do it again just for the example, it will ask you the owner. So you need to choose the owner and then make sure that you are now logged in this case with John, click proceed, and it will take you to your specific Untied account.
Can I ask a question, Aviram? If I've got a jointly owned property and I'm doing this in Lendlord, I can apportion and only get my share of that property coming across into Untied.
Yes, I think that we took care of that when we developed the integration. So it takes on the ownership.
Yeah. If it does, if by mistake, though, you bring the whole lot into Untied, you can apportion it when it comes into Untied. And I can sort of very briefly show how that works, if that's good for you. So we can see that the transactions come in. It's on the transactions tab here. So let's assume that I brought this money in, and instead of me being 100% ownership of this property, I'm only 80%. I can edit it and I can change this to a partial claim by a percentage. So I'll make that 80% and I'll click save, and it's adjusted the income, and we'll do the same with the expense. In terms of the interest, you have to go in and do that as well. And I think interest has been particularly complicated for buy-to-let landlords over the last few years because it's had to go in different parts of the tax return. The way that we built the integration is you just tag the account that you're using to send the interest, and we make sure that it goes to the right place in the tax return for that particular year. Now, going forward, that's less of an issue than it was in the past, but it's the sort of thing where we want to be streamlining that rather than having you needing to work out how you split something from year to year and how that works.
Terrific stuff. One for you, Aviram. Graham asked, is there a receipt scanning app that will link to Lendlord?
In the roadmap, but yes, we don't have it right now. I know if you can, perhaps like on Untied you can, but if you want to do it from Lendlord currently, no, we can upload the receipt, of course, but we're not scanning it right now.
Would it be fair to say, Aviram, that you could take a picture with it with your phone and then upload it?
Oh, absolutely. So if you use our mobile, either from the web browser from your mobile, or use our mobile app on the Apple Store and Google Play, yes, you can definitely just take a picture and to be uploaded as a receipt. But we will not scan it. So you need to put also the description of the transaction and the amount and the date. But it's a good feature to have. So it's in the run, just a matter of priorities, of course.
Yeah, that's it. Priorities. Okay. Lucy's asked, is there an extra charge for filing via Untied?
Charge, yes. So basically, in order to use the tax return filing, you need to subscribe to the premium plan, and it includes not just it includes like many more features. And let's see if I have this list here. I think here I should have it. So you can, so it also includes the linkage of your bank accounts, the unlimited postcode searches. So if you use the deal analyzer and you want data about postcodes, you get it on the premium plan. Of course, the zero integration. We also have 5 free tenant referencing for 5 properties for 30 days, unlimited prospect tenants. And now we are going to change it and add also the untied integration in our premium plan. We do offer now 6 months for free in the premium plan if for users that use our financial services, for instance, for mortgages or bridging finance. They also receive cashback, but also we provide 6 months free for the premium plan if you use our services.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I have. Forgive me if I've missed any. I don't think I have. I think that's all we've got for the time being.
Okay. So yeah, so feel free to start use it, and if you have questions, you can approach us on the chat within the app, or Nick, you can put the links. If there's my calendar link, you can schedule a call with me, and if you need any more instructions from Untied, we can do this introduction, or Kevin, if you want, if you have calendar as well, you can put it here. But of course, we can do this introduction to the Untied team to help if you need any help within the Untied app. And if you haven't signed up yet to Lendlord, it's time to do it. And have a great evening, and thank you for joining. Kevin, you want to say?
Yeah, I really appreciate, and it's lovely being here. And thanks, Aviram, especially for everything that you and others from Lendlord have done. One other thing I did want to say is we mentioned Making Tax Digital. We are piloting Making Tax Digital at the moment, and if any Lendlord users wanted to be part of that pilot, then we could support that, and you'll be one of the first in the country to be filing in that way. It's great if you're someone who likes to be an early adopter, to be finding out what's going on. You get a lot of handheld support through the process. It comes with a halo rather than any reduction in your tax, I'm afraid. But if that's something that people are interested in, then that's something I know Aviram, we'd love to get people from Lendlord to be filing Making Tax Digital, and we could be supporting that.
Yeah, so right on the, so anyone that wants to join the Making Tax Digital pilot and start the quarterly filing sooner, feel free to reach out, and you can use the chat on the app for that. Okay, So thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kevin, for joining me. It was a pleasure having you.
Lovely to meet everyone. Thank you.
And thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thanks, guys.